Hey monkeys, we're back. You're watching Guitar Quackery Live. So Guitar Quackery Live is this channel. Let me close the door, or maybe not. You know why? Some interesting people are rehearsing in Studio One, and they might come out, and you will see them. They're interesting. I mean, interesting in terms of, how should I say this? You know, interesting for the eyes. Yeah. Oh. So, Guitar Quackery Live is the one and only live streaming guitar repair channel. What are we doing? Yesterday I installed a new nut, and today, or now, we are going to slot it. Cut the slots, string slots. I'm going to file the string slots deeper than they are now. So it's got a whole bunch of string slots already, like 6 of them. I'm using. See, I need to make. I don't like this case. It's too big, and I never use the whatchamacallit, these yellow holders for the files. These are diamond files. Music Nomad. Please focus. Yes. So I always remove this thing, and I use the file like that. So I don't technically need this, but I've been meaning to make a box just for the files. There are 16 of them. 16? Yeah, 8 and 8, 16. So just haven't had time. Maybe I need a 3D printer. Yeah, then I need to learn how to use it. It's just, I don't want to learn all these things. I'm too old for that. Dr. Jeffrey Boyle is here. Good evening. Yeah, to you as well. So let's see how good the evening is going to be. They're rehearsing there, some people. And yeah, some other people might come out. Some of them were very interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing them again. They're, you know, nice looking and female. So I'm going to keep the door open. Maybe we catch a glimpse. Hopefully they don't come out when this camera's on or when the microscope is on, so that we can have a closer look. I mean, closer. Kind of like, let's see who comes out. Okay. There was more people there. There's a few of them. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the nut. Let's talk about work. The nut is here. I installed it. We have a little bit of damage here from previous damage, and then some of the inevitable, I guess, damage that I had to cause as well. So we can do a little touch-up work. I don't like to do any cosmetic work until I know that the piece works out. Okay, so we'll do the slotting first, and then we'll worry about cosmetics later. Okay, here we go again. Every day is the same. Who was that? I missed. Okay. I thought I heard the door open again. So, let me see. So, we see the strings. Wiggle, wiggle. And I'm going to see these tuners are kind of stiff. I don't like these tuners. I would change them, but I don't decide. So, yeah. Let's just hit it with the file. So first we resize it a little bit to the correct diameter. It's bone. That's a bone nut. So the original nut was bone as well, and the saddle looks like bone as well. So I don't think I'm in focus. That's better. Yeah, it's quite high, so maybe I should use my Hosco step gauge. So the way this works is I first measure the height of the fret right here where the string is. So 1.2 millimeters. And now this is 1.7. So we can remove quite a lot of material before we need to put the string back on. Hopefully this won't take too long. That's why I like the Hosco step gauge. I don't need to put the strings back on. I just keep going. Oops. You gotta be careful with the bone nut when you file. It's easy to chip it. Okay. 1.4. So a little more. So now it's 1.3, but you see it's wiggling here, so it's not seated here. So now it's seated at 1.4 millimeters. And the fret is 1.2, right? Oops. Yeah, that's good. So now we can put the string back on. It doesn't matter if it's in tune. This has got to have some tension, that's all. And now I am first going to eyeball it. It's already much better. Sometimes we listen, okay, but it's too high. So we need to do some more work. Oh yeah, by the way, yesterday after the live stream, I did some more work on the fingerboard. I basically oiled it and do my fret treatment, and did my fret treatment. But I wasn't streaming that. I wonder if the action is going to be too low. I kind of want to have a quick peek. No, it'll be just right. Let's go a little bit lower. Now, I like to measure things, although it's, to be perfectly honest, not necessarily necessary to measure. You can eyeball it and get it just right. This looks pretty good. You can see on camera there that there is a little space, but I couldn't tell you how much space we got. So it's more than I normally go for. Oh, we have an audience. How many people watching? 4. I can't see who. I know Dr. Jeffrey Boyle is watching. Ah, Mr. Fats and Sean, Dr. Sean Barnes. If you don't mind, I need a drink. Electrolytes. I am contemplating if I should cut it a little higher. Where's my thing here? Let's see what we got. So I got like about 90 microns. Usually I go for up to 50. Let me skip this now, for now, and let's work on the A string. So for the A string, we need a separate file, obviously. So let's put this file here. A 42 gauge file for the A string. And we have a significant height here. Now, just for fun, let's see. Oh yeah, it's huge. So once again, I'll take a measurement of the fret height just to make sure it's the same here as it is there. Yeah, about 1.2. That's the part of the step gauge to measure the fret height. And this is to measure the height of the string slot on the nut. Now, this is an old guitar. It probably doesn't have a perfect fingerboard, especially here. There might be dimples from the fingers. So this is relying on these 2 points to take a measurement of the third point. So we don't want to rely on this 100%. We just want to get it in, use it in the safe zone. But then when we approach the measurement would just switch to the other method. So 1.6, and that's the 42 gauge file, right? That's what we see. So this guitar will be finished today. Or should be. Will be. Should be. Will be. It better be. I want to do like a review on my channel about these files. They're really good. I wish they were just a little bit longer. But I've had them for, what, 3 years now? I bought them, the whole set, when they first came out. All right. So you can see here, we're at 1.4, and we can go to like 1.3 safely. We're still, I mean, it's less than 1.4, but it's not as little as 1.3. It's almost at 1.3. So at this point, I want to play it safe because, again, I don't know how even the fingerboard is. But I want to do the tap test. Yeah, it's too high. Wow, this is good. I'm measuring 60 microns. One more pass, and we'll be done. Yeah, we got on this one. Now this one here. We need to change the file again. And I'm kind of sleepy now. I hope I don't fall asleep again. I did notice that a text message came in. It was a customer that was just here. Let me see. The new nut will for sure address the fret buzz as well, question mark. I'll get back to him later. He just dropped off the guitar. So he just bought an Epiphone. Oh, I wish I had it here. I put it in the back. Inspired by Gibson Epiphone Les Paul. Actually, it's really well made. But I did find an issue with the nut. The kind of issue that, yeah, I would say is unacceptable. So I might make a review of the guitar. Sorry, I need to stand up so I don't fall asleep. Okay. So, yeah, they didn't file the nut quite right. So let's see what Mr. Fats says here. So the idea, if I understand this concept, we cut the nuts so they fit into a specific string gauge. So in theory, if I only want to use 10s, I can have my nut cut to only fit 10s. It's not that precise. So yeah, in theory, you have a nut file that says what the string gauge is, but you know that's a handheld file, and also there's tolerances within how they make these files. Sorry. So, interesting question. And let's see. So, if I use, so next file I'll be using is a 32 gauge file. That's for the D string. So if you buy a Strat, you can't just put 11s on, because a Strat comes with 9s, so you would assume that the string slots were cut for 9s, 9 to 42, although you have 9s which are 9 to 46. But those are called hybrids, a hybrid set. They shouldn't be called a hybrid set, but you know, it should be the way that 9s are, but they're not. So I found that on some Strats or Fender style guitars, you can just put 10s on and you'll be fine. But sometimes, no. Sometimes on the bass side, not on the treble side really, on the bass side, the strings, at least one of them sometimes, gets stuck inside of a narrow string slot. So here we have this file. Let me put the switcher back on. Yeah. And I'll show you. Here, let me zoom out. So I'll show you through the microscope. That's a 32 gauge file, as you can see. So you would think that that's a 32 gauge, you know, 32 1/1000 of an inch. This, you know, thing, matching the string. And I never measured it. I just kind of, you know, work with it. So now, let's take the caliper. Let's turn it on. We're in fractional inches. millimeters, and now we're in decimal inches. So let's see. The moment of truth. Look at that. I can't believe it. 32/1000ths of an inch. So it is really precise. Yeah, but so now we'll look through the microscope if that really opens up the string slot a little bit. So first, let's move the guitar over here. And then, we'll measure this one. Next one is 24/1000ths of an inch. So we'll measure that file as well. I'm done with these two, but we'll measure this one. So now, if I remove the string, yeah, let's remove it and zoom in. So now we know this file is actually really accurate, right? It's 32/1000ths of an inch. And what I want to do now is I'm going to mark off with a mechanical pencil. So I have this pencil is 0.3 millimeters. So let's first clean up the string slot. And let's see if we can mark it off from side to side like that. Okay. And here. And maybe at the back end as well. Okay. So now let's hit it with the 32 gauge file. Just a little bit first. So now you see how it's removing material. I don't even need to explain it because you see what it's doing. Okay. And now I'll cut a little deeper. Okay. So now the question is, let me clean up the thing. How closely does it match the 32 gauge string, right? And here we see that it's a pretty close match. Okay, but let's have a closer look. Yeah, it's a very close match, right? So now, what happens if you put a 26, right? In a set of 13s, I think it's a 26 gauge string for the G. Let me check. 26, yeah. No, 26 for the G, but we're doing the D. I'm sorry, 35 gauge string. So yeah, technically, if I'm doing it precisely, and my file, this one file is precise, it's not going to fit all the way to the bottom. So remember how I put that pencil mark there? So the file, so the existing strings, pre-existing string slot was cut with a smaller gauge file, or whatever they used to cut it. Whatever tool they used, yeah. So the file itself did not bottom out. I was removing the pencil marks from the sides. So that string, the 35 gauge string, is going to ride higher in a 32 gauge slot, unless I wasn't holding the file steady, in which case I might have cut a string slot that can accept a 35 gauge string. I have here something that I can use to show. So this could represent a string slot, right? Enlargement. Hold on, let me grab something. And this. Okay. So this is for a neck, right? Clamping thing. It would be good if it stayed in focus. So this is a smaller string now, right? And you can see that it's a smaller diameter, but there's so much pressure, you know, from a string when it's in tune. It's not really going to move when it vibrates, unless this is really, unless the pressure is not at the tip and the pressure is more inside, then it's going to move in the front. But if you put a thicker string like this, then as you can see, it's going to ride slightly higher, so it doesn't bottom out all the way, right? There's a little space. So this string, which is thicker, is going to be a little harder to play, not only because it's a thicker gauge, but also because it's not seated all the way down. But hey, when you tune a string, let's look at that. The string moves. Okay, so let's remember that. So now if you have, well, I put that thing over there, but let's say that's the string, right, the bigger one. If you have a string that's bigger diameter, now it's not seated all the way, and now when you tune it, it goes back and forth. It's going to wear out these two corners quite quickly, I think, because these two corners are now vulnerable, right? Now, is it going to wear down all the way down? I don't know. But those are good questions. I like questions like that. And maybe I should make a video about that with scientific experiments. So I am now curious to know if the file that I was just using, the 42 gauge file for the A string slot, is exact. So here it is, 42 gauge file, right? And let's take a measurement. So we're zeroed out. So this one is actually a 44 gauge file, as you can see. So I cannot cut an exact 42 gauge slot. Now 42 gauge, I call it 42 gauge, is actually 42 1/1000 of an inch. Right? That was the previous one that I was using. Let's put it back. Does that answer your question? I hope. But you just gave me an idea for a video. So, thank you. 32 gauge. So I'm going to remove the string. Again, measure the fret, just making sure. You gotta measure it where the string usually would be. So I'm measuring 1.1 millimeters here. So I don't know. And this is 1.6 or so. Where's my thing here? And that's the Hosco step gauge. Oh man, the phone's been ringing all day. I can't deal with it. So the Hosco step gauge, I'm going to put a link in the description. Now, as with all the links in the description, so find Hosco. Oh, there's a type Hosco. Okay. I am going to put this link in the description of this video, this live stream. Okay, boom, and save. So all the links are Amazon affiliate links, which means I get paid a small commission at no extra cost to you. I'm just going to copy and paste a message for this caller here. My message is always the same. So I rarely pick up the phone. And some days, just the phone just keeps ringing and ringing and ringing. All right. So let me read my message. Hello, it appears that you called the Guitar Quackery helpline. I want it to sound like it's a robo a reply. I'm either on the phone or working on a guitar. To get a reply, please text back to this number with the following information. So far, so clear? Your full name, make and model of the guitar, brief, with the emphasis on the word brief, reason for your call. And now it says, please note that because of an overwhelming demand for services, I will only be able to reply to callers who provide all the information as requested. Thank you very much. And then 60% of people just say, reply, how much is the setup? They don't get a reply. Why waste your time to reply if it says right there? Please note that because of an overwhelming demand for services, I will only be able to reply to callers who provide all the information as requested. It says right there. All right. Okay. All right, so let's continue with this project. Yeah, let's see where we're at again. 1.5. That's not the right file. Man, there's a mosquito here. 1.4. So yeah, these are sacrificial strings. If they don't get too fatigued, I might leave them on. Usually I just throw them away and put a new set of strings once I'm done with the work. So I'm not applying any significant amount of pressure. So I'm getting close, which is why I'm going to put the string back. It's too tall, too high. Uh-huh. This is starting to look really good. One more pass, and then maybe one more after that. We'll see. So if you cut it too deep, you need to start from scratch, basically. So we don't want to cut it too deep. We want to cut it just right. I'm at 50 microns now. Let's just go a little lower. Just a little lower, maybe, huh? I have a feeling that this is just right. Yeah, man. That's good. We got a little minimal space right there, which I can show you with this. That's an onion skin feeler gauge. So you see, there's a little space. You can barely see it, but there's a space, clearly. We got it at 20 microns. I can reposition the camera a little bit, and I can turn it in this direction. Oh, I need to switch the camera. So it's on the D string. That's it, right? So this is really good now. Now we're going to cut the other string, the G string. So for that, we need the 24 gauge file. I don't know if you hear the music. It's a bit of a mix of everything. I heard disco, I heard techno, I heard, I don't know, all the terminology. So Mr. Fats says, that was an interesting answer. Is this why some guitarists complain that their tuners don't stay in tune because they're using the wrong string gauge, which wasn't designed for the guitar and nut? That's a yes, sometimes that's exactly it. So if the nut is pinching the string, like we said before, like at the two corners, for example, that's not the only time that happens. Then when you tune, you're not achieving a good balance between the tension of this part of the string and this part of the string. Okay, so there might be more tension here. So now when you play the string here, the vibrations kind of, pull the string a little bit through the knot, and you lose some tension here just to gain some tension there, or the other way around, whatever. So, and then obviously the string goes out of tune. Or if you bend a string, when you bend and when you do a solo, same thing. The string travels through the knot, so it can go out of tune if you have any kind of pinching in the knot. So now, like I said, we are going to use a 24 gauge file. Here it is. And we want to measure it. I'm kind of now curious to see if this is exactly what it says. You see, it's a 27 gauge file. So they're not precise, right? Not 100%. There's a tolerance. I never thought they would be exactly on the money. So here again, I'm reshaping because it was a tighter string slot, and now it's becoming a nominal 24 slot. That's what it's called, but it's actually a 27. It's 27 1/1000 of an inch slot. I did measure this, right? Yeah. We need to cut it deeper. Oh, what am I doing? I didn't mean to do that. That's way too high. I don't even need to measure it. So if you are at least a tinkerer, or if you're in this business, I really recommend this. And then you're going to need this as well, because the numbers are very small. All right. I wish they made a Hasco step gauge for the base. So the problem, I mean, you can kind of use it on the base, but because the frets are further apart, these two contact points don't really work out with the base too well. So now if I wasn't using the Hasco step gauge, I'd be putting the string on and off every time, right? And now I am going to put the string back on. Because I am outside of the safe zone now. Let's have a look. So when I see that it's too high, there's no need to take a measurement. This is like, jewelry work. It's precision work. This is why I use a microscope. So now we'll see how the 24 gauge string fits inside of this 20, which we know is a 27 gauge string slot. And you see when you tune the string, it moves through the knot, right? Now I check the height, it's still too tall, right? I'm opening up the string slot at the back end. Still too tall. Now, the important thing is, even if it's a slightly bigger string slot, that when you do this, that the string doesn't move inside in this area here, past the point, right? So I'm doing this. All I'm doing is I'm bending the string, so kind of simulating the vibration of the string. Just like that. And now let's check the height. It's getting there. Now I'm curious to know where we're at. "50 microns. Now I'm going to try to go down to 20. It might end up being higher than this, by a few microns. I mean, I can't really cut it that precisely. So technically, we could have zero height. We just don't want to go in the negative direction. I'm still reading 50 microns. "50 microns is 5 check marks here. Each check mark is 10 microns, or 1/100th of a millimeter. So 10 microns is 1/100th of a millimeter, or 10 1,000ths. A micron is a 1,000th of a millimeter. Looks good. Let's go a little lower. So I had some issues with this nut, right? I had some trouble installing it. So I really don't want to be removing it. Okay, now we're good. We're at 20 microns. So we have this little gap. And yeah, so if I do it in this direction, you see that? 20 microns, 2 little check marks. So the G string is now good. I can't get it better than that. The next one is going to be 17 1,000ths of an inch. You see, I'm sometimes talking in inches and sometimes in millimeters, right? So that's 17 1,000ths of an inch. Dr. Chombe says, "Greetings. More adventures with this guild." Yes. What the heck was wrong with those tuning posts being sunk so low in the last video, though. I've never seen anything like that. I've seen it. Well, this headstock is really thick. It's tapered, kind of like an old Gibson. And it's not too bad on the D and G strings, but it's bad on the two E strings. So the tuning posts are just too short for this headstock. Yeah, tuning posts are not all the same in terms of heights. All right, so here, interestingly, you can see that, so this is just this is not a finished nut, right? But the string was seated here. So that's what we want to avoid when we actually cut a nut, right? Because now, when I put the string there, so let's tune it. So now let's move the string. So is it moving inside of the string slot? I'm sure it is a little bit. Yeah, you see? It's moving inside of the string slot. So that motion can cause this sitar kind of buzz. And I can show you. So this is the B string, right? There's a little motion. You can see that, right? So it's kind of, let me refocus. So I'm going to point to where it's anchored. It's anchored around here, but it's moving. This part is moving, if you can see that. Right? So let's look at this string slot. And this is anchored at the front. So that's what we want. But this is not a bad nut. It's just a blank, right? We need to cut it. It's not a fully fabricated nut, really. It's called prefabricated, but, you know. All right, so I was going to measure this one to see if it's a 17 1/1000th of an inch. It's fine. Let's just keep cutting. So the first thing that I'll do is I'll reshape the bottom. And we want the string to be anchored at the front. So string height is still, I'm sorry, fret height. And here the nut height is 1.7 millimeters. We can remove plenty of material. Oh yeah. Open up the backhand. No way, it's still... Okay. I believe you. It's making me nervous. I need to put the string back on just to make sure. Double check everything. Yeah, we got plenty. Right. So here now we see it's better, right? Yeah, it's at 1.5, so we need to go lower. So obviously that's a job we need to take our time with this. We're at 1.4, almost hitting down to 1.3. Which at this point, I want to put the string back on. Too high. So you can see this when I zoom in. So we have a contact point at the front and at the side here. So that's kind of unavoidable because the cut is straight, but the string is going at an angle here at the back. But sometimes I like to just open up that back end a little bit to minimize friction at the back end. It's just hitting the side of this wall. And you can see this powder accumulating there. Now that's yeah, from that's just bone dust. That's just bone dust. Okay. Oh, you didn't see that, did you? Let's go back to work. Too high. So I always like to slow down as I'm finishing because last thing I want is to mess up the nut on the last string. Where's my file here? So that's my, procedure today. And it's not always the same procedure. First, Haskell step gauge. Second, tap test, just eyeballing, and then at the end, measuring. So we are at 40 microns right now. That should be good, but let's just hit it one more time. So I am really removing microscopic amounts. We're at about 25 microns, maybe 30 or so. And, I don't need to do this, but since we've been doing it, you can see that there's a little gap left here, right? And now we are going to file down the E string. It's a 13 gauge file, but the string is a 12 gauge, right? So now, is it exactly 13 gauge? I don't know. Okay. Dr. Chambi asks, do you like 0 frets? It depends. So there are good 0 frets and bad ones in a sense how they're made, right? Sorry. Let's talk about that as we work. Actually, I'm the only one. Oh, maybe you guys are working too. Maybe you're at work just watching YouTube, collecting a paycheck. I don't know. So, as you know, the string is going to slide across the string slot when you tune it. So that's going to wear down the 0 fret, which means you need to leave it taller, because otherwise you'll be refretting the 0 fret, right? Frequently, if it's at the same height as the other frets. Because that string is going to chew into that fret. It's going to create those, like you get dimples on these first 2 or 3 frets. There's going to be a dimple on that 0 fret. So it needs to be left taller than the other frets. So it can never be as perfect as what we can see on a well cut nut, unless you have a titanium fret. So people say, I want a 0 fret, so there's the same exact sound. It gives me the same sound as any other fretted note. So now if you use a titanium fret or stainless steel fret, and there are various stainless steel alloys, right? Stainless steel is not just one alloy, right? It's a range of alloys that are all called stainless steel, and then they have numbers. So some stainless steel is really, really hard, and some wears down pretty quickly. So unless all the frets are made of the same exact material as the 0 fret, that argument that it's going to sound the same as the other strings isn't valid. The other thing is with a 0 fret, if there's a gap between the 0 fret and that nut, the string slides across the 0 fret. So with string bending and stuff like that, it's going to slide there. It's going to wear it down even more. Well, it's always going to slide a little bit when you bend, right? Because it's always slightly away from there. But if it's like a 3 or 4 millimeter gap, which we see on some guitars, even 5 or 6 millimeters, that's really bad, right? So I don't know. I don't really like a 0 fret. There are some 0 frets that are shaped. They have an asymmetrical cross section. So the tip of the crown isn't at the center of the fret because it's shaped like that, kind of like leaning in that direction towards the nut. So I think those are pretty good. But most often we see bad 0 frets. Like on the 1970s Japanese guitars, when you have a 0 fret, it's usually pretty bad. I remember like 5 or 6 years ago, the 0 fret thing was all the rage. They were selling these conversion kits, for 0 fret conversion. But that went out of style. I can't even remember if I ever worked on that conversion. I seem to have a vague recollection that I had one customer that brought one of those kits with the guitar and I had to convert, but I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I dreamt it. $1.5. So how does it look? It looks like this. Let's put the string inside. So you see when I tune the string, it's always rubbing against the string slot. And now again, I tune it, right? Yeah, man. I guess maybe one day I could make a video for the main channel about 0 frets. Yeah, maybe. I would need to have a lot of guitars with 0 frets just to show different styles and the examples. So now I am comparing this to this. I mean, I can tell that it's too high, but that's a good way to compare when you get it right on one string, to just kind of compare to match the other string. Where's the thing here? This way I don't need to grab this, right? Just kind of match it. Or, try to get as close to it being a match to this one. So it's still higher, but I kind of want to know where I'm at. We're at 40 microns. I could just stop. That would be the reasonable thing to do. Let's see. Well, let me do it this way. Okay, so we're done. We have that little gap, and it looks okay this way. So it's not moving inside of the string slot. And yeah, we are done. So now, what happens next? Let's move this here. Normal microscope. Okay, so we're not done. I'm not going to touch up the low E. I know it's a little higher than 50 microns. I can't remember by how much, but it's fine. It's still within that good range anyway. Yeah, so make sure you click the like button. Yeah. Yeah, so if you feel that this was useful, you can click the like button. And if you don't, some people click the thumbs down button, and that doesn't help, because then I don't know what they're thinking. Just write a comment if it wasn't good. And tell your friends so that I can monetize this channel. I need more subscribers so that the replays can play with ads, right? And yeah, or that I can have a super thanks button one day when I grow up. So I'm curious to know if I have, if the relief is still the same. Sorry. It looks good like this. Yeah. So yeah, so one day I'd like to have that super thanks button. I need more subscribers to be eligible for that. So you guys can click on the super thanks. Or you can also, if you really like, you can buy me a coffee. There's a link to buy me a coffee. Where's my coffee? See? I don't have coffee. So we have 8 1/1000ths of an inch of relief. Now let's see what happens if I dial in 6 1/1000ths. Let's see what happens in terms of action. So this is now 6. Yeah, so just to show you, we have this much relief here, 8th fret, but this one doesn't fit, right? And then on the 8th fret on this side, we have the same thing, 6 1/1000ths, but the 8 1/1000ths does not fit. The 6 1/1000ths fit, right? That's the one we have. And that is, just to document it, 6 1/1000ths of an inch relief, right? So now that we've established that, and I might dial it back to 8 1/1000ths. Let's see. We have a nice deflection of the soundboard. I'll show you in a minute. So it is the way I thought it would be. So with the deflection now established, this is hitting the bridge, which is why the saddle is so low, right? So we have a slightly underset neck. Underset meaning in this direction, slightly, right? It's an old guitar. But we have this soundboard deflection now, which is what we need. The guitar needs it. But the saddle is low. And now, with the 6 1/1000ths of an inch relief, and the guitar in tune, So someone was asking yesterday, how does the guitar sound? I don't know if they can get the sound. It sounds good. All right, so let's see. Okay, so we have 71 thousandths action here on the high E. I like it more at 80. And we have, we're almost hitting 100 here, which is where I like it. So you know what? I think I'm just going to leave the relief where it is. Yeah, so that's that. Now, we still got a little work to do. It's just cosmetic. Just as a reminder, yesterday when we were installing the nut, where's my auxiliary light? Ah, over there. So we have a little bit of an issue here. Just there, right? Because we had to do what we had to do yesterday to make this work. So I'll just do a little bit of a touch-up. You know what? I'm not going to go crazy on this because look at this. I mean, this got super glue spilled. I mean, the guitar itself has quite a few dings, relics. Look at that, right here. That's the guitar. That's how it is. And we're not going to go crazy. I just don't want it to kind of stick out like a sore thumb there, you know, like that thing. But I'm going to end this live stream because we've been together here for 1 hour, 34 minutes and 49 seconds. Mark Kenny is in the house. He hopes everyone is doing good today. I hope so, yeah. So Dr. Fictional says, hello, Mark. And then Dr. Chambi says, someone once told me that 0 frets were just a way to cheat out of getting a proper nut. Yeah, that's a misconception. But my perspective has changed since seeing how standard they are on Gypsy Jazz guitars. So it's not easier to properly make a 0 fret and the nut with it. It isn't easier. It is easier to just kind of put it together, but then, you know, you could also argue that by buying a pre-made nut, well, that was kind of like a pre-made nut, but like one of those plastic ones, whatever, I don't even have one, but let's say this Tusk XL, and just glue it in and don't do any work. It's kind of like that 0 fret, which is what they do on some guitars. So Dr. Fictionato says, I think 0 frets would be more likely to have buzzing issues. Yeah, very interesting. I think you're right. For several reasons, right? So wear and tear happens fast on the 0 fret, so then it starts buzzing. Yeah, that's one reason. What's the other reason? I guess that would be the number one reason, right? Another reason would be if it's not properly made and the nut that is not a real nut, right? It's more like a string tree. If the string slots are not cut deep enough, then the string slot would be kind of lifted behind the 0 fret, and then it would be buzzing against the 0 fret, right? That could be a reason, right? But you see, those string slots on the 0 fret nut need to be cut slightly below the 0 fret, but not too much below the 0 fret, because you want to kind of have, I think, right, a little bit of a pressure distribution between the 0 fret and the nut, so that you don't have all the pressure on the 0 fret, so that you kind of slow down the wear and tear, I guess. I don't know. But then what happens when it does wear, then you have buzz, just like you said. Yeah. Okay, then people say hello, and then I call that character. Yeah. Okay, friends. So, see, that's what I like. 6 of you watching and 6 likes. Oh, no. Now there's 7 watching. So someone just joined us. So, buddy, you're going to need to click the like button and log on to the next live stream, because I am going to do a little bit of touch-up work on this. So whoever you are, the new viewer, this is the end of this live stream. Sorry. So tricky timing, right? But I'm going to do a little touch-up work. So for anyone joining now, this is going to be interesting to watch the replay, I think. Look, I got 6 likes, right? So, yeah, at one point I had 9 viewers at the height of this live stream. Okay, so I'm not really going to take a break. I need to put the tools away and bring new tools out. Okay, how about that? And I'll see you in a minute. Bye.